I'm just making a video to describe what I see as the difference between the left and the right in modern politics. I'm using America naturally as like a reference because I think it's, for better or worse, the cultural or influential epicenter of the West or the world as I know it. And especially after the murder of Charlie Kirk, I think that the othering, the enmity between both sides has really ramped up. And that's kind of what I'm speaking to. I kind of think that the whole thing's a bit silly to a certain degree. And I'm just giving my perspective. I think that, or should I say, I intuit, I know that, it's quite obvious, that the left is all about change and the right is all about maintenance. That's why the left call themselves progressives, because they believe that they're making good change, otherwise they wouldn't be kind of trying to make it happen. Therefore, they call themselves progressives, They believe that their change is progress. And the right are trying to conserve what's already been made or changed or what already is. Therefore, we call them conservatives, right? So I'd just like to say that these are both valid kind of aspects of humanity. We need people who seek change. We need people who seek progress. We need people who are not satisfied with the way things are. We need people like that. And those explorers, especially those kind of intellectual explorers, tend to be on the left for that very reason. That they're looking for better, or should I say, at least new ideas. That they're looking for diversity. They're looking for, or at least they don't believe necessarily that the status quo is best or what should be. They question everything. They're very open-minded, etc., etc. Whereas on the other hand, we have right-wingers who not only are they very sentimental, which is not a bad thing, not only are they kind of very routine-based, predictable, which are not bad things. I'm not saying those in incendiary terms. I'm just saying the right wing, they have a level of depth to them, a depth that can only come when you choose a path and follow it. And the path that they've chosen in America is this kind of Christian-esque, constitution-based Eurocentrism, which is not in and of itself a bad thing necessarily. Could be, but I'm not getting into that argument. I'm just saying that is the status quo in America, and that can only have depth if people are going to be, to a certain degree, ignorant. And ignorance is a word that gets a lot of flack. We see it as a bad thing. But I think that in a neutral sense, to be ignorant is simply to... Everyone's ignorant, and it's a good thing to be ignorant in the context of choosing something. To choose, to make a choice, you have to ignore the other potential choices that you could have made. But to go in a certain direction, you have to ignore all the other directions that you could have made. That's a good thing. That's the only way of moving forward. And with that comes a level of depth, which I think a lot of people on the left don't necessarily have at the price of being open-minded, at the price of not being that ignorant and seeing all the options, seeing all the variables, seeing, or at least wanting to explore, wanting to see all the paths that they can take. And one is not better than the other. In fact, they are part of the same family. You could even go as far as saying they're man and wife, you know. I'd say that the desire to explore, um, as we see in the Garden of Eden, as is symbolically portrayed as femininity, is on the left. It's feminine. Sorry, and the desire to maintain, to steward, to protect, is all very symbolically masculine. It's part of, it's patriarchal, and again, that's another word I want to reinterpret. That's not bad necessarily. It's symbolically it's masculine to want to steward, because masculinity believes. If you go back to the Garden of Eden, it was Eve who sinned first from the tree, and it was Adam who was only through temptation. Sorry, only through following his wife did he sin too. But his nature, or his predisposition, was to just follow his dad, to follow the patriarchy, you know, his father in heaven. And yeah, masculinity is all about keeping stuff the same. There's a reason why women have bigger eyes than men do, you know. There's a reason why the feminine, or women, are all about trying new things, having loads of different types of shoe and kind of handbags, and men are all about just hegemony and just routine and just. But there's also a reason why men are stronger than women, you know. There's also a reason why men require more food than women, you know. There's a depth that men have. There's a deeper way in which they kind of go into the world, impose themselves into the world, or there's a deeper grip that they have on the state of the world. Whereas women, and I think this is why we tend to call women more spiritual, is that women are kind of in like an ethereal state, where they're mainly in the world, but they're also connected to the ether, you know, of ideas, of spirit. They're the ones by which we receive. I'm not saying that men aren't part of the life creating process, but that miracle happens within a woman, you know, between man and woman. But that, anyway, I'm barking up the wrong tree perhaps, but women seem to be less tethered to the physical than men. And obviously I don't think that's not necessarily a good thing. These are all neutral concepts. There is no supremacy between the two. But yeah, the right is all about hegemony. It's all about maintenance. It's all about keeping stuff the same, keeping the status quo, which again is not a bad thing. You know, the Hollywoods manipulated us so badly, you know, into thinking that being a rebel is the way to go. It depends on what you're rebelling against. And if you are kind of the status quo, that's not a bad thing either, but it depends on what you're defending. And honestly, I think we should all be a bit of the both. I'm talking rubbish right now. I think we should all be a bit of both. Because life will never be perfect down here. And there will always be stuff we can change for the better. But there will always be stuff worth protecting, at least if we're doing well. And think about how hard it is to make change. And then understand that to gain something that keeps us alive, or to gain something complex, like a complex society, like America, for example, or like most countries actually, that took a level of risk, of progress, and you have to be grateful and you have to be somewhat protective of it, otherwise you might lose it. So yeah. Point being, the left and the right are people on both should take a. They need empathy, I suppose, or they need understanding. I think empathy is a loaded word. It's a very emotional word, but I think they both need just understanding of each other, whether cerebral, whether heart based, but they just need to understand that we're all on the same team, and only God, only Christ can, well, I suppose not everyone believes in Christ. You know, a lot of people believe in, you know, a higher good that can unite all people, and that is the framework in which we should see others. But from experience, I can tell you it's Jesus Christ, and yeah, Christ is the answer. Yeah. Anyway, it's quite beautiful, masculine, feminine. I love it. Yeah.